Hey guys, how's it going? They want to talk about how much money should you accept as an entry-level engineer. Just basically what I mean by this is just recent graduate, no skills, no job experience, no master's degree, no certification, maybe the EIT, but just let's call it as bare bones as you can get. Now, of course, everything will vary depending on your location and where you live. I'm just gonna, for my case, I'm gonna talk about Texas. How the average salary is depending on like where you live. I'm gonna talk about other places that I know, and like just like a quick comparison of what I've been offered in other positions that I did not take for X or Y reason. So now, the average salary here in South Texas when you just graduate, they will try to offer you probably like around 50K, and that's like very like average. And that is if you go like into a medium city, let's say San Antonio. That's kind of like the average they will offer you. If you go to Houston or Austin, that your cost of living is a little more expensive, you should be asking for a little bit more, maybe 55 or more. Now, if you go like south there than San Antonio, usually they will try to lowball you even more. So, for example, you can get offered 40 or 35 even in some like very uh, hidden places. Which I mean, it's a pretty bad salary, but I mean, it's not as bad as it seems. And you just need to like be smart and do your research about your cost of living. Most of your salary should be based about the cost of living. So, for example, let's say somebody offers you $50,000 for your entry level salary, and you live, I don't know, in Silicon Valley or California or New York. I mean, it's gonna be very hard to make a living with that kind of salary over there. Not because it's a bad salary, but because the cost of living over there is very expensive. Like an apartment, like for example, right now where I live, my apartments are like super cheap. They go like for like 600 for a two bedroom, 700 for a two bedroom, and like nice, not like high end, but like nice, okay apartments. And with that, for example, with that kind of money, you can get a very crappy apartment in, let's say, Houston or Austin. If you want something nicer in those cities, you will be paying probably like 1,000. Plus, on top of that, you need to be mindful of like gasoline, like all the expenses that you have to do. Um, Now, this also, of course, varies depending on your qualifications. If you did no, I don't know, you were not part of any membership of any organization, if you didn't do like work study or did any internships, or you didn't have your EIT or you don't have a master's degree, all of this stuff will also be considered. If you go like, I don't know anything, and try to get a job and like then ask for, I don't know, 60, they will probably laugh at you because I mean like you don't offer me any value to this company. Like I mean, you're literally just a recent graduate. I can hire somebody for that kind of money, like who has a lot already experience. So you also need to be mindful of your work. You need to know how much you're worth and like how much experience do you have. Like for example, like for me, I have done my bachelor was in civil engineering, right? And then my master's degree was also on civil engineering, but it was more focused on structures. But I never formally worked into structures until I graduated from my master's degree. I work a little bit in like construction management and a little bit on surveying and a little bit on payments. So even if I try to apply for a structural job, one, I wasn't a structural engineer. I didn't graduate with a structural engineer degree. And two, I didn't really have a lot of experience within the structural engineering uh, market, let's call it, or the environment. So a lot of concepts that like a lot of structural engineers know, like I mean, for me, they went over my head. That didn't mean I wasn't smart, and that didn't mean I wasn't like qualified within the civil engineering field. It just meant that I just didn't know some of the stuff that were required for to do the job. So when I took my first structural job, I mean, they lowball me, and I mean, I did ask for more stuff, for more money, and I kind of got like something close to what I wanted, but still, I mean, it wasn't like what I could be making if I was working in something that I was more, how do I say, proficient at. But that was okay with me because I really didn't want to do surveying or other type of thing. Like what I wanted to do was structural. So you be mindful of that too. Like for example, some positions will offer less money, but you need to consider if it's what you want to do. Like for example, you can be making way more money, like I don't know, in the oil rigs or something like that. But do you really want to do that? Like if you want to, like go for it. But if it's not something that you're passionate, then like I mean, sometimes it's okay to get a little less money to do something that you will be interested in doing. Now, for example, if I'm gonna talk about Texas, your average entry level will vary between 40, like very low ball, to around 60, depending on qualifications and like honestly how smart. It also depends, of course, of how well your negotiation skills are and how good are you at like selling yourself. Because an interview is basically that you're selling yourself. A lot of times when you graduate from college, I mean, they know you don't know crap. So basically, it's just like, oh, I'm awesome because I did this, I did that, and that's what you need to try to showcase in the interview. All right, and you also need to, you don't want to like fast because then they will hire you, but like I mean, you will be making crap money, money wise. Now this is the salary for like Texas, around like for an entry level 40 between 60. No, I don't. I think it's very rare. Like somebody will pay you 60 if you're just an entry level. Unless you work like for the city or you do some kind of dangerous work, maybe forensics comes to mind, like when you need to go into the roofs and stuff like that. Now, of course, if you go, let's say for example, I was checking on jobs for engineering in California, like entry levels there, like they usually low balling there like 55 at least. But that is like understandable. The same with New York. I think New York like your minimum should be around 60,000 or something like that. So this is just to give you an idea of how much you should be making. Why? Because the cost is just more expensive for life. Like I said, like here in Texas, you can find apartment for 600, 700, okay. But in New York, like you'll be lucky if you get something nice for 1,000. Um, as a good rule of thumb, the higher you go in the US, the higher up and the colder it gets, the more money that you should be making because the higher. You also need to be doing research because this is not like a rule for everything. You need to do research in the city where you're getting the offer, and but also like where you want to live. Like maybe you're getting offered a lot of money, but like there's nothing to do in that city, or I mean, you also need to be mindful of all this stuff before accepting a job. Now, let's say for example you have your EIT, you graduated and you took the EIT. I mean, that doesn't change your salary. It's very good to show your employer your intention to grow. So, for example, if you had your EIT, you'd be like, I want to take my PE as soon as possible, and I want to become a PE because every company wants a PE. And if you show that like that, that showcases that you're worth more. So you wanna do that, and you want your possible employer to know that. Okay. Uh, Now, if you have a master's degree, let's say a master's degree, let's just keep going with this. If you have a master's degree in any field, I think your entry level like jumps around like maybe it depends on the company. It can be anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000 more. So, for example, if you have a master's degree, no experience, you graduated from college, you went to a master's degree. But I mean, to be fair, if you have a master's degree, you should at least have some like experience, like from your thesis or like from working on a project during school. Um, it should jump like between 5 to 10,000. A lot of times companies they care more about experience than degrees. So for example, like if you're in undergrad, it is very highly recommended that you try to get an internship and also try to get like even like voluntary work. Like you can go to do voluntary work, I don't know, at Tesla or whatever company, a structural company, if that's what you want to do, a surveying company. Even if you're not getting paid or you're getting paid like minimum wage or something like that, that is something that you can put in your resume, and that is something that for future you can add those people for reference. Because I mean, everybody loves an employee who works for free or very cheap. So if you're working with these engineers, they will and if you're good, like they will put a good word for you whenever you are trying to apply for a job, and it will give you a lot of good like hands-on experience with work. All right. So be mindful of all this stuff. If you're very close to graduate and you didn't do a lot of this stuff, like you didn't like being an internship or anything, like don't worry about it too much. But like set your expectations differently. Like a lot of times, I have friends who like didn't do anything when they graduated from college. Like I mean, like any organization or any specific work. I kind of didn't do that much either. And what they do, they did like they took like a job for a lower salary. I mean, like had a friend who took a job as a he was an engineer and he took a job as a surveyor. So he was the guy digging the holes, like getting stung by bees and stuff like that. Which I mean, it sucks. But I mean, if you're sometimes employers they just want like with a very bad salary, he got a position as an engineer. So a lot of times the companies they also want to see how much you're willing to work for them. So if you're having trouble finding a job, a good recommendation is just to like try to get a job that you can within your field, and then in the like be looking for another job while you're in that within what you want, or just tell them, hey, I want like a salary, or like I want this money like in a certain period of time. That will you're still making money, you're not wasting your time, but you also have your options open. I hope this video was useful for you about jobs or like how I did something or anything else. Let me know. And have a good day. Have a good day, guys, and subscribe to my channel. Uy.